Hello. Today I'm taking a look at a wine from the southern Chilean region of Itato. This is Martino's Viejas Tinajas Muscat 2018. It's a wine made with some skin contact, so I think this should be quite interesting. I wanted to focus on Itato and its wines at the suggestion of one of our team here who pointed out that the region's recently suffered some devastating wildfires that have burned through a number of the old vineyards there and destroyed quite a large number of really mature old vines. So it's a great loss there, and especially in an area where a lot of the holdings are small independent vine growers who don't have large vineyards to fall back on. This could be quite devastating for them. So we wanted to just draw attention to that. I also think it's worth drawing attention to Itato as a wine region as well, because it's a hugely important region historically for Chile and has an interesting history, and there's been a lot of change there recently. So grapes were first planted here according to records back in 1551, so it makes it the sort of the cradle of viticulture for Chile, and yet the majority of large brands are much further north, close to Santiago. So here we're about over 500 kilometers south of Santiago, and just slightly and about 15 kilometers in from the coast. So it's a very maritime influenced area with relatively high precipitation. So they're able to grow grapes without irrigation. So most of the vineyards are small plots of old bush vines. This particular vineyard, I believe, was planted in 1975, so has some nice maturity there. The soils are granitic, so that reduces vigour, and you've got a little bit of altitude just to cool it slightly. It's, I believe, about 150 metres above sea level. Viticultural practices are quite traditional. The wines are fermented with their ambient yeasts. Evidently this has a period of extended skin contact, followed by 6 months after the wine has been drained off the skins, aging in these old tinajas, which is where they ferment as well. So tinaja, in this case we're talking about large traditional amphorae, some of them dating back over 100 years, possibly some of them even 200 years old. So no oak influence on the wines, and actually made in yes, I believe they're treated with SO2 just to keep them stable, but no fining, no filtration. This is sort of quite minimal intervention winemaking, making them suitable for vegetarians and vegans as well, I understand. Martino, I should probably mention, fourth generation family owned company. They were originally from Italy. Their headquarters are in the Maipo Valley, but they've been quite influential in pioneering the resurgence of Itata as a region, being one of the larger producers. Of course, they export the wines, which is getting more notice internationally. But yes, interesting set of wines made very traditionally and well worth searching out. So let's see what we think of this. First thing to say is you've got a sort of an almost orangey note to this medium to deep yellow colour, and the wine has a slight haze, hence I think derived from the fact that it hasn't been filtered, and it will have a fair amount of phenolic compound from the extended skin contact that it's done. The aromas are very pungent. I mean, it's clearly smells of skin contact. You've got a number of things going on there. There's a rich core of sort of stone fruit, sort of ripe nectarine, behind which I suppose there's a note of sort of mandarin orange, quite pungent aromas coming through. But then also there's a slightly vegetal note that I'm finding hard to pin down. It's almost like sort of slightly green tomato, or that sort of pervading over the top. But there's an intensity of aroma, and there's certainly a great amount of character. So let's have a taste and see what we make of it. wine's completely dry and has a wonderful tannic structure. Almost sort of, it's almost like overripe pineapple or something like that. There's a real sort of richness and a slight, maybe slightly unctuous note to it, although it's, you know, it's completely dry, but something in the fruit is wonderfully concentrated and rich. And there's I suppose a slightly oily texture, although actually it's only medium bodied, so the oiliness isn't giving it richness or roundness. Strength is, according to the label, 12.5%, and the alcohol is not particularly impinging on the wine. I suppose possibly there's a little bit of, you know, slightly spicy, maybe slightly gingery note on the finish, where the alcohol is giving a little bit of warmth at the very end. Those notes of sort of mandarin orange, sort of mature mandarin orange, are continuing, and that's giving some length. And the other thing, slightly unusual, maybe it's the textural side of things, but there's almost a note of sort of halva to it, that sort of slightly drying texture as much as anything. The flavours are lasting well. I think that's a really interesting wine. If you like something that's got real character and interest and will pair really nicely with foods, the structure on this will allow it to go with cheeses beautifully, I think. So yes, thank you for watching. That's been Martino's Viejas Tinajas Muscat from Itata. That's the 2018 vintage. And if you're interested in this kind of wine, it would be great if you could support the producers of Itata at the moment by buying these wines. Thank you for watching. Do join us again. Bye now.